not necessarily budget travelers. We do try to find good value for our money, so maybe we're value travelers.
Yeah,
And I think we got good value out of this trip.
we did.
Good morning, fellow travelers. How are you? Welcome back to our channel. I'm Lon,
And I'm Glenda.
and we are a retired couple in our 60s. We've just begun our travels, really. Um, we are not full-time travelers. We still own our home here in Michigan, but we do like to travel as much as we can, maybe 6 to 8 weeks at a time, as much as our budget allows.
Right, which is what we want to talk about today. So for this particular stay in Mallorca, we stayed at a beachfront hotel in the area called Playa de Palma, and that's about 20 minutes from the main capital city of Palma. And there all kinds of things to do there at the beachfront, as you would expect from any main tourist area. There were hotels and bars and restaurants, all kinds of places to rent things like jet skis, or I think you could even rent boats, bikes, those kind of things. So one of the best parts for us was that all along the beachfront there is a long promenade. The beach is actually 6K long, and you can walk that whole thing if you want to. So there's no traffic. They have a whole big paved area that is traffic free for bikes and pedestrians. And then they also have a road there, and given that it was off season, there was almost no traffic on that. But they do have a tram that goes up and down the length of that beach that you can, do a hop on, hop off. I can't remember how much it was, $6 or $8. But also, all along that promenade, fairly frequently, they had bathhouses. So if you were just at the beach for the day, I mean, it was not hard to find a public restaurant. So that was really, really nice too. So we really enjoyed our time there, and lots to see and do.
Right, yeah. So we're going to go over today our expenses for a 1 week stay on the island of Mallorca, staying in Playa de Palma, and maybe you can use this as a guide to any planning you might make for a trip there. We actually took a cruise, a transatlantic cruise from Florida over to Barcelona, Spain.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, we have some videos out on that. But then so once we disembarked, this is where we're tracking our expenses, where that begins. So we Ubered to the airport, flew from Barcelona to Mallorca, and Ubered to our hotel. Those were our biggest expenses in the category of transportation. The flight itself from Barcelona to Mallorca was only $98. Do I have that right? $98. That was for the two of us to get there. But then we had one suitcase that was deemed a little bit too large.
Whose was that?
Yeah, I wonder.
Oh.
So generally we travel with one suitcase, one carry-on suitcase, and one backpack.
Each.
The one suitcase was a little bit too big, and we had to pay $63 just to check that. So
At the gate, because we didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
So you add that in, we're at about $150, $160 for that flight. But our transportation costs, our total costs, $258. Next, we're going to go to our lodging. Again, we stayed at this beautiful beachfront hotel in Playa de Palma. Pure Salt Garanda was the name of it, and we have a video of our stay there as well. Check that out if you're interested. We highly recommend that. This hotel had only opened up maybe 2 to 3 weeks before we got there, so it was early in the season. Not many people yet, but our costs there for 1 week, $1,272. This did include free buffet breakfast, and it was quite a spread. Really.
Yeah, it was very extensive and nice too.
It was
nice dining area overlooking the beach, and when the weather was nice, which I think we did have a morning or two, we were able to actually sit outdoors on the patio, and that was very nice.
Right.
So in addition to that, food is just another category in and of itself, and we spent $457 on food. So that's kind of a lot of money for food for 1 week, or at least we consider that a lot. But given the weather situation, we really kind of used restaurants as a big form of our entertainment, because we could get out of the weather and just have some leisurely meals, or actually some afternoon happy hours and that type of thing. And we discovered a lot of really good food actually in the area, but took a little searching here and there, and we really enjoyed that.
Yep. And I mean, people watching a little bit too
Yeah.
as you're there,
Mhm.
looking out the window and seeing different
Yeah.
sights. So
Yeah, so even though it did rain a lot, the temperature were what, mid to upper 60s most of the
yeah,
time.
I would say
So
so.
so you could be outside. So that helped.
Yeah.
Okay, so then entertainment. This was a very low budget area category for us for this particular week because a lot of what we wanted to do had to be canceled. So we only spent $108. And that was primarily on a trip, the train trip that we took to, I'm terrible at saying the city name,
Soleil
Soleil.
could be Palma to Soleil. It's the old wooden train,
Mhm.
100-year-old train, and you get out at Soleil. We explored a little bit there. They
Mhm.
had a Saturday market, pop-up market set up. So
Mhm.
we explored a little bit, and then we took the tram from
Yep.
there
Yep.
to Port de Soleil.
Great Port de Soleil. Yeah, which is the marina area. And that is a like kind of a U-shaped, another big promenade. It was just a beautiful day. I mean, we had one beautiful day, which ended up working out great for this day trip. So we spent most of our time, I would say, most of our day there, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
was very peaceful and relaxing, and we had more food and drink there, and just enjoyed the day.
So I think that trip, train and tram,
Hmm.
from Palma to Port de Soleil and back was $83 for the two of us. So that was the big part of our entertainment
Yeah.
expense.
Yeah, we did have a sailing excursion planned as well as a couple other day trips, but they all had to be canceled. We didn't have time to fit them in the toward the end. So then the last category is drinks, and what are you going to do when you're in a situation like this? But maybe have a few more drinks than
Like
you
to have a
might
drink?
normally. So we spent $86 on drinks, and we did fairly heavily explore the sangria
Yeah.
market here there in Spain. So we did try various places up and down the promenade and definitely ran into some very good sangria and then some sangria that was not so good. So we recommend explore, and if you find a few places where you really like it, don't forget those, and
Keep that in mind. Maybe go back there
maybe you
again.
want to frequent those. But yeah, I guess another thing that we didn't mention was the vibe, the culture there on the beach. It was really, really casual and very friendly, I would say.
Oh yeah.
And we found in a lot of the restaurants there were a lot of expats spending the winter there. Primarily Germany, I think, was the big one. There was a lot of German being spoken.
Yeah. German
Yeah.
and UK, I think,
Hmm.
were a big part of it.
Yeah. In
People
fact, one of our favorite bakeries was a German bakery, and really good breakfast and baked goods there. But
Hmm.
definitely a lot of German
Yep.
visitors in that cafe. So overall, those are all of our categories, and our total cost of our trip was $2,180. So that's a little bit pricey for 1 week, but overall, we felt that it was worth it for
Well,
being
I
on the
think,
beach.
yeah, I think the island of Mallorca is going to be fairly pricey, and actually, I think our 1 week, because it was off season a bit, probably not as expensive as you might find.
Yeah,
But overall, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. We're not
yeah,
necessarily budget travelers. We do try to find good value for our money, so maybe we're value travelers.
yeah.
And I think we got good value out of this trip.
We did. We did.
One other category yet we want to go over, and that is the number of steps. We are walkers as a general rule. We like to walk and explore, and we average just under 12,000 steps per day.
Yeah, over the 7 days, and which it doesn't seem like a lot. There were some days when we probably got less than 5,000 just due to the rain, and other days that we got well over 12,000. So in general, that was a pretty good average for the weather that we had, and you know, options for getting out and about.
Yeah. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea on what you might be facing if you plan a trip to Mallorca as far as expenses. And coming up in our next part of our travels, we go to Seville. So we're going to show you some things that we do there, 10 days in Seville. So, hey, thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you. Keep on tripping.